Your heart is racing right now, not because a lion is chasing you, because your inbox has one unread email from your boss that just says, "Can we talk?" Nothing else, no context, no emoji, and somewhere behind your ribs, your body just prepared to run for its life. That reaction feels irrational. It isn't. It's ancient. Your brain still runs software written for a world that hasn't existed in tens of thousands of years, and almost nobody stops to ask why it never updated. Start with the basic wiring. Deep inside your skull sits a small, almond-shaped cluster of neurons called the amygdala. The neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux spent much of his career mapping exactly what this structure does, and what he found should unsettle you a little. The amygdala does not wait for your conscious mind to weigh in. It reacts first. It reacts fast. Information about a threat reaches it through a shortcut route that bypasses higher reasoning entirely, so your body can start moving before you've even finished figuring out what you're looking at. Why would evolution build a system that acts before it thinks? Because for most of human history, thinking was a luxury you couldn't always afford. Imagine standing in tall grass on the African savanna 80,000 years ago. A shape moves. Tawny fur, low to the ground. You do not have time to run a careful analysis of whether that shape is definitely a lion, possibly a lion, or just wind moving through the brush. The ancestors who paused to think it through calmly were, on average, the ones who didn't survive to pass on their genes. The ones who ran first and asked questions later did. Your nervous system today is built entirely from their decisions, not from the calm, careful ones. This is where the physiologist Walter Cannon enters the story. Cannon was the first to formally describe what your body does in that split second of danger, a cascade he named the fight-or-flight response. Your heart rate spikes, blood rushes away from digestion and toward your major muscle groups. Your pupils dilate, your senses sharpen. None of this is optional, and none of it consults you first. It is your body assuming, instantly and without permission, that survival depends on speed. Here's the strange part. That system has no idea what century it's in. The neuroendocrinologist Robert Sapolsky spent decades studying stress in primates, and one of his most striking observations was almost embarrassingly simple. Zebras get stressed when a lion is actually chasing them. Then the chase ends, one way or another, and the stress ends with it. Their bodies reset almost immediately. Humans, on the other hand, activate the exact same biological alarm system for things that are not actually chasing them at all. A tense meeting, a cryptic text message, a red notification badge. Your amygdala cannot tell the difference between a predator and a Slack ping. It only knows that something unexpected just happened, and unexpected to your ancient wiring still means dangerous until proven otherwise. Think about what that means for your average day. You are not being chased by anything, and yet your body is running the same emergency protocol it would run if you were sprinting from a genuine predator. Dozens of times, sometimes hundreds of times, in a single week. Every notification, every awkward silence in a conversation, every moment your phone buzzes and you don't yet know why. Each one can trigger a smaller version of the exact same ancient alarm that once kept your ancestors alive in the grass. And unlike the zebra, you rarely get to finish the chase. That's the part almost nobody talks about. Fight or flight was designed as a complete loop. Threat appears. Body mobilizes. You run, or you fight, or the danger passes. Then, critically, your body physically discharges all that mobilized energy, and it returns to baseline. Your ancestors' stress had an ending built into it. Yours often doesn't. You feel the spike from the email, but you can't actually run from it, or fight it, or do anything with your body at all. You just sit there, muscles primed, heart elevated, adrenaline circulating, staring at a screen. The alarm goes off, the energy has nowhere to go. Multiply that by every unresolved alert your modern life produces, and you start to understand something important. It is not that you are weak, or anxious, or overreacting. It is that you are carrying a perfectly functional prehistoric alarm system through an environment that triggers it constantly and almost never lets it finish its job. So what do you actually do with a body that still thinks it's on the savannah? The research here offers something almost absurdly practical. Because your body doesn't distinguish a lion from a deadline, It also doesn't distinguish real physical movement from imagined danger, which means movement itself becomes the missing half of the loop. A walk, a hard exhale. Even a few minutes of exertion after a stressful moment gives your body the thing it was built to expect. Proof that the threat has been resolved through action. You are, in a very literal sense, closing a circuit that was left open. There's something almost tender in understanding this about yourself. Your racing heart at 2 a.m. over a message you haven't sent yet. The tightness in your chest before you walk into a room full of strangers. None of that is a malfunction. It's an ancient, deeply loyal system, still doing exactly the job it was built to do, using the only tools it has ever had. It simply doesn't know that the grass is gone. It doesn't know the lion was replaced by a calendar invite. Next time your pulse jumps for no obvious reason, try naming what's actually happening. Not, something is wrong with me, but my body is running old software on new hardware. That single shift in framing changes everything about how you respond. You stop fighting the alarm and start understanding it. You start finishing the loop it was always trying to complete. Your heart is racing right now, reading this. In a chair, in a room, nowhere near a single predator. But somewhere behind your ribs, a piece of you 80,000 years old is still standing in the grass, still watching the shape in the distance, still keeping you alive the only way it knows how.